What is a secret that could get you in serious trouble if it came out? Story number 1. I flooded the hotel on a field trip for school as I turned on all the taps in the men's bathroom and didn't understand why they weren't working. I'd found out later that there was a 10-minute cutoff of water supply during that time, but forgot to turn off the taps after turning them on. Coincidentally, a few of the taps had plugs in them that I hadn't noticed at the time. This caused 2 floors to suffer a lot of water damage, including the girls' dorm, which would cost a lot to fix. I guess this is why public places moved to push taps rather than manual. Only one person knew I'd entered that bathroom during the time period, and he kept quiet as the teacher grilled everyone. I refused to say anything as I didn't want my family to get fined and also didn't want to be ridiculed. So, to this day, 15 years later, I've not told a soul, except Reddit now. LOL. Story number 2. The first month I had my license, I hit the side mirror of someone's car while driving down a narrow street. Nobody was around to see it, and I knew my parents would freak out and be even more strict than they already were, so I panicked and kept driving. I have spent 20 years feeling guilty about this. One time when I was in a restaurant, I overheard a random couple talking about how someone had done the same to her car. I anonymously picked up their tab. Didn't really make up for my mistake, but at least made me feel a tiny bit better about what I did when I was an idiot 16-year-old. Story number 3. 14 years ago, while IT was working on my work PC, the IT guy had to step away for a moment. I used those precious 5 minutes to exploit admin control. I went to the most used company template, used by more than 200 people over 100,000 times a year, and added a little Easter egg in tiny font. It said frosted butts. I don't know why I did it. I just did. I talked with a coworker who is still there about a year ago, though I have long since quit. They have used that template millions of times in the last 14 years, and it's still there. Story number 4. I take care of an older lady through a home health company that is very not there for the clients. I called my office and they said they will make a note of it. A f***ing note. This lady was extremely sick one day and I drove her to urgent care. She's not allowed in my car and technically I should have called 911, but she lives extremely far from any hospital. It would have been at least 90 minutes before anyone actually showed up, so I took her. The following week she wasn't doing any better, and she fell 5 times in a couple of hours. I contacted my office to let them know again, same response. So I packed her an overnight bag, took her dog, a 13-year-old Chihuahua who gets along with my 13-year-old Chihuahua, to my apartment. And we went to urgent care with me in the room with her, so I could advocate for her. Once the urgent care was done, they didn't do crap this time and she refused the ER. She stayed a night at my apartment for a couple of days, so I could actually make sure she was okay. Her family is shit, the company is shit, and no one trusts the ER or the hospital here. The nurse in me couldn't just let her go home when she was falling so much. I broke a lot of rules, and I'm aware it was extremely unprofessional of me. However, I'm happy she is better and that she was 5 minutes away from the hospital if she needed to go versus the 90 minutes minimum wait at her home. I feel shitty for reacting the way I did, but I don't feel shitty knowing she was in a safe environment. Story number 5. I hate my father-in-law. I have absolutely no love for him. So does my wife. Technically, it's her stepdad. Her mom can put it together that we all don't particularly like him. Everyone ignores him because he's such a narcissist. No one knows why she puts up with this shit. He's filthy rich, so maybe that's why. But she has her own money too. He is leaving us, well, my wife, a lot of money, and our kids in their will. I guess greed gets the best of us and we swallow our pride. But he's the epitome of an asshole. The only silver lining I have with putting up with him is that my boys are set up for success. I hate that he has this power over our family. But that's life, I guess. Story number 6. I stole a car with a friend when we were 13. Went on a ride for 300 miles. Abandoned it, hitchhiked back. No one ever knew. Had a great time. In the 70s. Story number 7. I never passed a driver's license test. When I went for my road test, I failed it. Went to renew my learner's permit, and upon exiting the DMV, I looked at it and saw that instead of them renewing my learners, they gave me an actual license. I went to the car and told my mom, and she told me to get my ass in the car and we left quickly. That was 30 years ago now. Story number 8. I made $4,000 from $100 in a month from gambling stocks. I proceeded to lose just about all of it shortly after. If my family knew that I was trading at the time and that I lost $4,000, I would never hear the end of it, especially since we're deep in poverty and need just about every cent we have. I'm personally not too bothered by it anymore, and I've chalked it up as a funny story and learning experience. Story number 9. Not me, but a close friend that I happened to be with when it happened. He loved to break into vending machines back in the mid-80s to steal drinks and change. He tried breaking into one at an all-Jewish school and inadvertently caused the machine to catch fire. This was on a weekend and no one was around. Burnt down almost half the school and caused them to close the school for over a year and probably a lot of money. The news ran this hate crime for weeks, and let me tell you, we were sweating that it will get out, we were there and he was responsible. Lucky for us, it's the mid-80s and no cameras like today. It was all over the news and in the newspaper. They just assumed some anti-Semitic organization had targeted the school. Nope, 2 dumbass poor kids in hand-me-down clothes and bikes trying to get a king-free Coke. That's all for this video, and thanks for listening.